Hi there, Nathalie with you today to show you a simple and easy way to create a mixed media watercolor background for your next project. So come join me. Hi there and welcome to a new episode of Inspired by a Card with Nathalie. Today's inspiration actually is a fun one. This comes from Terry Kostler. She's in our design team and I loved her card from the Paint a Flower Camellia Waterfall block cup. I'm going to use some of the same ideas. She used pattern paper for her background. I'm actually going to create it. I want to show you how easy you can create your watercolor backgrounds. For that I'm going to use Altenew's 9x12 paper pad. I'm gonna use watercolor refills, a brush. This is a number 4, and my Mr. bottle. So you're gonna use a little bit of color theory here. So to avoid creating mud, you do not want to use red, yellow, and blue. So you're just gonna stay within 2 color families. The key here is you want to put the watercolor on I'm using a palette. This is the Altenew watercolor palette. I'm putting the colors, and this is liquid watercolor. I am using Mountain Mist, Sky Blue, Lagoon, and Sunrise. And you're gonna see that I'm adding the watercolor close to each other but not on top of each other. I'm keeping the teals and the blues on one side, and I'm giving it a little bit of separation to the yellow. And all I'm doing right now is I'm just spraying a little bit of water just to make it very fluid, to dilute it. And literally all I'm gonna do is take the watercolor paper, put it on top of my palette, and smoosh the paper down. Automatically, when you put the paper, the water that you have there is just gonna move on the paper. The paper is gonna soak out the pigment, and you're gonna create a watercolor look that I'm looking for. And it's a very organic mix because you added all that water, so that makes it very fluid and it mixes all nicely. And just to finish, I'm just gonna take some of the leftover, in this case watercolor, and just with my brush, this is a number 4, I'm just gonna add some splatters, and then I'm gonna set it aside to dry completely on its own. You can apply some heat just to speed up the process. I like actually let it dry on its own. It just brings it back to the original state. It's gonna be a little bit of buckle, but not tons. So that's all you're gonna need. Simple things. You need a watercolor palette. You need to have something that is gonna create the pigment, so the color, some pigment. You're gonna need water because you wanna make it fluid, and then you need good watercolor paper. Simple as that. So now while my paper is dry in my background, I'm gonna go ahead and start creating my embellishments. Like I said, Terry used the Paint a Flower Camellia. I'm gonna use the Paint a Flower Monger Dahlia. I love this flower. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go the same way that Terry did. I'm gonna emboss my image with a crisp white, pure white embossing powder on vellum. So you're gonna see that I'm just applying anti-static powder. I'm using my inking platform, and then I'm using Altenew embossing ink. And I'm using my inking platform because I want to make sure that when I add the stamp, I'm gonna go twice. You're gonna see that I'm gonna stamp the image, I'm gonna come back, add more ink, and stamp it twice. One of the reasons is vellum can be a little bit tricky. It is a synthetic surface, so ink sometimes tends to move a little bit, so I want to make sure to create that crisp impression, so I'm doing a double stamping. After that, I'm just adding my embossing powder and heating it up. Now one of the things here is that the Paint a Flower series does not have a matching die, so it's going to take me a little bit of time just to fussy cut the images. I stamped 3 of them because I'm going to use them for my journal. So I'm just fussy cutting right now, making everything ready so I can start assembling, and it's gonna be pretty simple. So once my paper dried, I have to make sure that I cut it to size. I'm gonna cut the piece of paper into a 5 by 8.5 and a 4 1/4 by 8.5, which is the size of my journal. The 4 1/4 is gonna go inside a page protector. The other one's gonna be free. And I love the fact that it's actually I have the background, but I want to add more interest. When you have a card, you have a smaller size. I am using it for my journal, so I need to bring a little bit more interest. So my idea is I really love the sentiments in the stamp set, so I'm gonna use them for my background. This sentiment says I one of a kind. So sorry, it says I am here, sorry. So I'm stamping in using Blueberry Crisp premium dye ink. So you're gonna see that I'm just stamping it messily, I'm gonna say, on the top right corner of the larger piece of paper. And then I'm going to bring another sentiment from the same stamp set. This is a Paint a Flower Monger Dahlia. This one says one of a kind. And I'm going to stamp it, what is the word? Diagonally opposite to what I just stamped. And I'm going to use Sweet Leaf ink for this, and you're going to see again, this time I'm going to move the stamp a little bit onto the other side of the page. I'm going to make sure that I put the two sides together, so a little bit is going to go into the other side. Once I have that, I need to still, you're going to see it's very faint, so I need to add a little bit more interest. I'm going to come in with more of the same stamp set. This stamp set has beautiful sentiments. This one here says awesome, and I am using a Cloudy Sky ink for this. And then there's another one that says positive, and I'm gonna use Silverstone for that, and I'm just stamping it on top of what I already had. Once I have that, I'm pretty much set when it comes to my background. So it's all gonna be about assembling it, following kind of the idea that Terry had. So one of the keys here when you're creating something is repetition in a group of 3. You want to create that triangle shape in your page that is going to give you the maximal attention to what goes inside my triangle. So you're going to see that I'm putting my flowers in a way that my picture and my title are going to go right on the center. So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to glue one of the embossed images right on the left edge, of the smaller piece of paper. I'm going to trim the excess. Then the second one, I'm going to put it in the junction between the two pieces of paper on the top of the page, and the other one's going to go on the bottom right corner of the layout. I'm making sure that I don't cover that stamping that I created. Now here's the key. When I had the little image that spans within the two pages, I have to make sure that I secure it on both sides. That means that when I cut it and I split it, the two sides are glued together, and it makes sense. Like, it looks like a complete image. And then all I have to do after that is just trim it so I can separate it. Now, to create the title, I love the fact that Terry actually embossed her sentiments on like a really strong color cardstock. So I'm going to do the same. I am using actually gradient cardstock to create the offset for my title, and I am using Dazzling Diamond Glitter Cardstock to create the little writings. And the sentiment comes from the All About You word die set, and I'm gonna put the word Hey You. This is a picture of me 20 minutes after the new year for 2022, so I'm gonna put it in my album. So that's gonna be the title. I'm gonna bring a little bit of texture. I'm gonna do the same thing that Terry had, so I'm gonna add a little bit of sequin. This is also from Altenew, so I'm just gonna sprinkle a little bit where my title is at, and that's pretty much it. All that is left for me to do is to add my lines of journal, which I'm going to do in that bottom part of my picture. And then I'm just going to add a simple sticker and a little heart, and that's it. I love how this turned out. Like I said, a super easy way for you to create a simple watercolor background for your next project. I hope you try it. As always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. And remember to subscribe to the channel. Always great content being added. Take care, guys.
Hello, crafters. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything. Thanks for watching.